Will manipulations by major exchanges soon come to an end? Are we now seeing a recovery in the Kaspa chart? And what is currently happening with MEXC? All of this and much more about Kaspa is in this video. Hey, welcome to Crypto Owl. Yes, I've thrown on my Kaspa shirt again and said, today we're making another Kaspa video. And that's exactly what we're here for today. As always, let's start with the price of Kaspa. What does it look like right now? And we can see a slight drop here on the hourly chart. I can also tell you exactly why this happened, or rather, what is currently going on. We'll get to that in a moment. First of all, yes, overall, the hourly chart isn't really that impressive, but the daily chart, and this is what I already mentioned in the last video, shows 12 cents, a magical mark. It's important to hold 12 cents and not drop below 11.5 cents again. In this area, things are a bit volatile, and I knew we would come back to this range, which is why I marked it. As I told you, it's good if we go above 12 cents, but before a breakout to the upside, there will always be a pullback. That's exactly what we're experiencing right now. And this pullback is, of course, also accompanied by regular news, global news, which I'll talk about in a moment. But we can see that there is a pullback here. If it doesn't really drop below 11.5 cents within the next 2 or 3 days, I can easily imagine that we'll continue to see a breakout to the upside. But in a moment, we'll take a closer look at the outlook, how the chart might develop further when we examine some more interesting charts and chart patterns. This morning, I went ahead and said, I'm opening a Kaspa long position. That was roughly here. I said, that looks pretty good. I'm going long. Why did I open a long position? It's pretty simple. I even said here at 12.5 cents, that's where it's going. That's where I'll take my profit. I made a few dollars there. Easy. But things turned out completely differently because I also opened a Bitcoin long and an ETH long. It all turned out completely differently. You can see the numbers are minimal, but I thought if what I believe happens, or if there's just a little bit of hope, then you could make a few euros with a long today. And that's why I went ahead and opened a long this morning, because today in Turkey, there are peace negotiations, or rather, talks about a possible ceasefire. So why are there these pullbacks now, or rather, why did the chart go down? Suddenly, the news came in that Putin will not be present and Donald Trump will also not be personally present. And just like that, the prices dropped because everyone is now much, much less optimistic about the chances of a ceasefire. That's how it was. So that's why we also see here in the hourly chart, this pullback, or rather these two red candles. Now, yes, there is hope again, or rather there have been some reports that maybe something might actually happen after all. So I'm really curious, and I just thought, if we're going to bet, then let's bet on events like these as well. Let's take a look at the sentiment. We've already talked about it in the last videos, and I actually think it's pretty cool. Specifically, the sentiment in the crypto community. You can actually vote on it a bit here on CoinMarketCap, the biggest site. Kaspa is currently in 7th place, still bullish with 90.2% of voters. So extremely bullish. If you're logged in here, you can just click on the bullish or bearish icon. And then we can also see the results within the last 24 hours. Yeah, like I said, today wasn't a good day, but overall, things were looking pretty good. A few days ago, this poll looked completely different. In fact, Kaspa Daily took this screenshot here on May 13th, which was 2 days ago. Back then, it was only 87.8% bullish in quotation marks. Now it's even higher at 90.2%, but probably with fewer voters. Since Uniswap was also at the top, and XRP was still in 3rd place with DIA in 4th. So if you vote diligently here, you can also vote Kaspa up. Does it actually do anything? Nope. But it looks nice, and you can get a bit of a sense of how people see things and what those who vote are actually voting for. And yeah, it's like the Sunday question for the federal election. It doesn't really do anything for us except that we talk about it, but it doesn't change anything anyway. Yes, what's interesting and what keeps coming up is this elephant in the room, and everyone says MEXC is influencing the KAS price. They are the largest holder. That's just a fact. They have the biggest wallet. On MEXC, ranked number 1. It's still suspected that Binance holds the second largest. They added 1 KAS today, or rather within the last 24 hours. But it was sent to them. It wasn't purchased. We can see that here as well. They didn't lose anything, or rather, the price was $0. It was simply sent. Yes, nothing else has happened with that wallet. Is it Binance? We don't know. We only know where the other wallets stand, and we can see that here. And MEXC is the largest holder. And what's interesting to see right now is, we know, Gate.io. As I already mentioned in the last video, there were some issues with Gate.io. There were mainly withdrawal problems. There was a public criticism that you can't trade properly here. We know that spot trading, so market spot, doesn't even exist on Gate.io. You can only trade with positions there, which a lot of people don't like. Many people are impatient. They just want to deposit quickly. Market, go for it, bam, I've got my KAS ready. That's not possible on Gate.io, so they've also lost a lot recently because of that. Within the last 24 hours, 6.6 million KAS have been withdrawn. And on MEXC, also within the last 24 hours, 427. So rounded up, 4.3 million KAS have left there. But what's interesting is that in the meantime, they even stopped withdrawals on MEXC. And if we take a closer look, we can see here that withdrawals are still mainly being processed. Withdrawn, all confirmed. There are hardly any deposits, and the wallet balance is dropping sharply. So people are currently leaving MEXC, at least when it comes to KAS. They are the largest wallet, and of course they are always accused of manipulating the price and of being able to influence the price with their market makers. There are also many tweets about this, for example, this one here. If you take a look at the prices here, MEXC has the highest price compared to the others, but the lowest volume. That's simply because people are currently withdrawing KAS. But that also means that when KAS is being withdrawn, not much KAS can be sold either. So there is little volume here and the price rises. This means you could do arbitrage here by buying at the cheapest exchange, which would be Bit and Bitget or also Gate.io. But keep in mind, you can't market buy there. So probably one of those two, send money there, buy, send to MEXC, sell. You can do that, and many people will do it as well. There's also an interesting article about this from Kaspa Daily. They really do a nice job. Whoever runs the site does excellent work. Respect to Kaspa Daily. And there are several possible reasons. Liquidity imbalance. MEXC may have fewer Kaspa available for sale, which drives up the price because Kaspa is being withdrawn in large amounts right now, as we've seen. Withdrawal issues. Since Kaspa withdrawals from MEXC are notoriously slow, really they're very slow, or sometimes even paused, users may be forced to trade within the platform. So, if you want to do arbitrage here, by sending Kaspa, meaning you buy Kaspa, and then send it to MEXC to sell, it should actually push the price down because many people might buy KAS on Bitget or Bybit, for example, and then sell it on MEXC. But MEXC also has extremely long deposit times. So not only are withdrawals extremely slow, but deposits are as well. I don't know the exact number right now, but it requires a lot of confirmation time on the blockchain, or rather in the block back. So I'm not even sure. It used to be 5,000 or 50,000. That has varied a bit. Blocks, even if a block is created here within a few seconds, we're still talking about X blocks times however many seconds. That's quite a while. Yeah, that's why doing arbitrage is of course difficult. And if you want to withdraw KS on MEXC right now, but maybe you don't have the opportunity at the moment, yet you urgently need the money, then you would have to sell KAS and then send USDT again, or, for example, swap it into Bitcoin, or another cryptocurrency that can be sent quickly and then send it. And that actually leads to the price going down. So if MEXC says, look, we're going to be slow with deposits for now, that's good because it prevents a lot of people from doing arbitrage, so the price on MEXC doesn't get pushed down. If you can't withdraw, you're forced to sell KAS if you urgently need the money. If withdrawals are slow enough, okay, people just have to deal with that. That's why MEXC, yes, they were one of the first exchanges for KAS, but they've always drawn a lot of criticism for their slow withdrawals, and simply because they hold so much KAS. But as I said, they're the #1 exchange, meaning they were the first to list KAS back then. market manipulation. That's always the issue that's hanging in the air. The lack of arbitrage flows and unusual price spreads could indicate artificial price inflation, possibly to attract volume or to create the illusion of strength. Yes, of course, this is a difficult topic because, as we know, market manipulation is a tricky subject since MEXC obviously has their own interest in seeing Kaspa go up. Why? How come? They are number one among wallet holders. They hold the most KAS, specifically 3.75% of the entire KAS supply. And that's why, of course, they have an interest in keeping the KAS price high. No question about it. Yes, and of course, that leads to trust continuing to decline. On the one hand, they want the price to be high. On the other hand, they can manipulate the price by always being able to sell at the best price themselves, because ultimately they are not the exchange. They feed the market maker does its arbitrage, the wallet keeps getting stronger, they accumulate more and more KAS, and in the end, they actually have an interest in KAS rising because they hold the most. But even with their strong market maker, they engage in a lot of arbitrage. That means their KAS holdings are actually increasing. That's why people are increasingly withdrawing money or KAS from MEXC. It's not good for MEXC, but the accusations have now been raised from many sides and can no longer be ignored. Not even by me. As a MEXC partner, I can no longer say that anything strange is happening with KAS, at least purely with KAS, with MEXC. And this wallet balance, we've seen it here, I just showed it to you, it doesn't look good either. By now, it's gotten even worse. Even though the curve is flattening, that's because, as I said, withdrawals have been temporarily, maybe even currently, stopped in again. Yeah, so it's difficult. So which exchange should you use now? You've also seen other exchanges here that list or have KAS. The Uphold wallet is not easily available in Germany. Funds are also being withdrawn from Gate.io. They're in 6th place. And then comes Bybit and BitGet. Yeah, one of those will probably be the exchange where you, for example, buy Kaspa via spot trading. If you're not there yet, we also have a link for BitGet in the video description. Yeah, as you saw, I opened a long position, as I said, on Blowfin because Blowfin has great offers and Blowfin is one of our new partners. So go check out Blowfin. Buy and trade cryptocurrencies on Blowfin, whether in your browser or in their own app. By signing up with Blowfin, you get access to over 500 cryptocurrencies for spot trading and another 800 through futures trading. You can even try copy trading or trading bots here and even test yourself with demo trading to see if you can make profits. Blowfin and CryptoYule are celebrating a partnership, and this is being marked with 20% cashback on your first deposit. This is limited to $500 and only for the first users until May 31st. So signing up and making a deposit could really pay off here. Depositing euros and receiving cryptocurrencies is very easy with their partners such as Simplex and other currencies are also available here. In addition to their reward hub, where you can earn extra rewards, but you can also generate passive income in the earn section, either flexibly or locked in for, say, 180 days. For example, here, you get 2.56% on USDT. Check out the fastest growing crypto exchange of the past 3 years and get an additional 20% cashback. Remember, this offer is limited. Let's take another look at the outlook for Kaspa. And I always find it interesting about how many people create charts and what kind of fascinating, chart patterns come up. And I'm not sure if everyone knows this, but Kaspa has a rainbow chart. Yes, the same one we already know from Bitcoin Decap, Kaspa has it too. Yeah, but unfortunately, no more colors were added to it, which is why it broke downwards at the bottom. But what's interesting is that after this event, take a look here, it briefly broke out just before that. I mean, it also briefly broke out upwards at one point, so there have been some short breakouts. But by now, it has broken downwards in the long term. So I would say it's gone through the whole thing. But look, if we zoom in on this, though, it's pretty hard to zoom in well. But when did it actually break out in the long term? That was after the Coinbase futures listings. Also interesting, something to keep in mind, the Kaspa rainbow chart has been broken, or rather, broken in the long term, but it stayed within these colors for a long time, even though it broke out upwards during bull phases. And at the very beginning, also briefly downwards, since the whole thing had to get started first. After Coinbase listed KAS on futures, that is allowing long and short positions on Coinbase, that's when it happened, and suddenly the price crashed. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but it's interesting to see. Then there's another chart pattern, namely the Kaspa power law. Maybe you've seen that one before as well. And I actually find it quite interesting because basically, well, it's kind of like a rainbow chart or a regression channel, which I also sometimes draw here in the daily chart, nicely upwards. And yeah, it can dip down a bit for a short time. It can also go up briefly. That's all fine, but it stays within this range. And this Kaspa power law shows us something similar and basically indicates that things are looking very good here. Projected, so where it could go in 2026, the highest point in this power law would be $1.88. That would be crazy. Personally, I can't imagine it going that high. I think a big success would be exactly the middle of this chart, and that would be 54 cents. Do you believe that? Write in the comments, 54 cents. Do you think that's possible? It remains exciting. First of all, of course, something like 29 cents, or actually 29 cents is already an all-time high, to be honest, or 30 cents is a nice milestone. If we break through that, it would be wonderful, I have to say. So there are some interesting chart patterns emerging around Kaspa. After the update da von der Akunde NAS, 10 blocks per second, that great update for KAS, the big topic now is whether smart contracts will be coming directly to the Kaspa blockchain. And what will happen to the KRC20 tokens if you just transfer them over, or if there won't be any smart contracts for now and everything stays the same? There's a lot of wild speculation and no one really knows for sure how things will develop. But what you can see is that the KRC20 tokens are still being traded actively. I'm actually surprised myself. Conan, for example, 80%. Look at what's happening there. It's gone up, bird, 65%. You could have jumped in here as well. Boom, you could have taken those percentage gains. So it's really interesting what's happening here. For example, the youngest ones here in all of this, just 113 days old, are already in second place with Seal. So it's really quite exciting to keep looking over this, even though there are some here where simply nothing is happening. You just have to admit that. But in general, market cap and volume are always interesting. I always like to go by the volume, boom. And here we see that Kangoo has the highest volume, even though they're in third place, and Nacho comes after that. So the KRC20 tokens are also becoming available on more and more exchanges. And that's why a lot of people are, of course, trading these KRC20 tokens on the exchanges. So there's still something happening there. It's not over yet. And then we still had a rumor. Is it a rumor? Is it a hint? Has it already been debunked? They won't comment on it to me. I forwarded the question to 3 OKX employees. I didn't get a clear answer from any of them. Either the answer was vague, or it was, yeah, I still have to check, or I haven't gotten an answer myself yet. It's strange, but I know that these rumors are still around after those pictures of KAS, namely, ride the lightning, the green one, and see it out. They're on the horizon. A new alternative is breaking through. So is KAS this alternative? Green, a new alternative block deck, digital silver after Bitcoin, proof of work, miners, decentralized. Is it Kaspa? I still don't think so, because it was announced that OKX, if I understood correctly, wants to present a new DEX solution, and this one will probably shine in green. So everything is still possible. It could be that they might link the two, that they say, hey, look, we're listing Kaspa and we have this alternative here, which just happens to be green as well. It remains exciting, but for everyone who is, of course, holding Kaspa and sees all this from OKX, they're thinking, there might be something to it, so it's still possible. I still don't think it's out of the question, because they could have just told me. I'm convinced that at least one of them knows something, since one of them works on the listing team, that he could have just said, no, that's not the case. But I think they're still keeping their options open, which is why they won't comment on it. There are actually quite a lot of comments under all those posts where a Kaspa listing is being asked about. That's how it is. So how are you all feeling at the moment? Are you also pretty bullish on Kaspa? Or are you saying, no, it's a tough phase right now. Just look at all these red candles. But yeah, Stefan said, 11.5 cents, 12 cents, that's a range where it can move around a bit, but it's a boring zone. But below 11 cents wouldn't be so nice. Apparently, we have to be very curious to see where it's headed. Feel free to share your thoughts on KAS at the moment, your mood, your opinion. Is anything else going to happen? Will there be a new listing, OKX, Binance, or maybe other exchanges? On Coinbase, it's already listed for futures trading. Maybe the spot listing will come next. We should all be very curious. In any case, we can see that there are outflows at MEXC, and it will also be interesting to see when this wallet in second place might overtake MEXC, because MEXC is experiencing so many outflows, as many people are withdrawing their KAS from MEXC. Exciting, exciting, exciting. We'll keep following it. I'll keep an eye on it for you. So look forward to the next KAS video. With that, thank you very much for watching and see you in the next video.